I'll start my talk with the story of my grandmother. My grandmother, Bilkis. I will just see her photograph here. That's her. Pretty, isn't she? But she was born into a world that wanted her to stay invisible. She was born during the time of the British Raj. Her family was persecuted by the British, and she lost her mother at the age of 4. And by the time she was 7 years old, she also lost her father. She had no home, no shelter, and no one to look after her. So she was taken up by her aunt, who could barely afford to food her or give her shelter, but had no money for her schooling. That was basically for her own children, obviously, because her children took precedence. So Bilkis had housework and her cousins had books. She used to finish her housework during the day, and in the evening she used to come and sit near her cousins and absorb what they were reading and what they were writing. Because Bilkis wanted to be a writer. She wanted to do more, and she wanted it very, very badly. So by the time she was 14 years old, Bilkis was able to publish her first short story. She was the youngest Muslim woman to do so. And from there on, she went on to write many novels, and she took up many social issues and worked for the empowerment of women. And here I am, 125 years later. I cannot decide what I want to eat. I don't know when I go to a restaurant and look at a menu, I don't know what I want to eat. And if you come to family holiday destinations, I just don't know. Well, if you look at it that way, I am accommodating, I'm flexible, I'm accomplished, but I still cannot decide what I want to do. And what is the reason? This is years of conditioning, and that is known as a generational trauma. Generational trauma is the invisible weight that we women and you young women carry on your shoulders. It has been passed down from women, centuries of women who were not allowed to choose. And this generational trauma impacts our responses and our behavior. It does not alter our DNA, but it definitely impacts how we respond and how we behave. Haven't you noticed how much we apologize? We will always, especially young women, always say, I'm so sorry, can I come in? I am so sorry. Can I take 2 minutes of your time? I'm so sorry. We will always shrink in boardrooms, in classrooms, in offices, and in our homes. And why is that? Because for centuries, women, especially when they are young, have been told to be small, to be quiet, to be agreeable. But history has not been like that. There have been women who have fought for what they wanted and what they desired. They did not take destiny that was determined by other people. Take the example of Rani of Jhansi. She was only 25 years old when she became a widow, and she had to protect her kingdom for a young son. So, with a sword in one hand and a little son in the other, she fought the British Empire. Let's take the example of Malala Yousafzai, our daughter of this soil. She got shot in her face, but did not give up her right to education. And she stood up for millions of girls who wanted this right. And she changed the course of history. Hannah Schnell, in the 18th century, for some reason, she wanted to get enlisted in the British Marines, and she wanted to fight along with the British soldiers. So she disguised herself as James Gray, and she fought many battles. Somehow or the other, she was not noticed by her fellow soldiers. Either she was very good at her disguise, or the men at that time were highly unobservant. I leave that to you. Now let's talk about Asma Jahangir. Asma Jahangir, who sat in the halls of Kinnaird College. She is our alumni, and we are very proud of her and what she did. At the age of 17, she stood up for the rights of women. She didn't wait to be somebody to tell her what to do. She just grew up and she emerged. She fought for not only the rights of women, but also human rights, and we owe her a lot. These stories have never been shared or highlighted for us, because the narrative that is told to us has been that women, and you young women must have been told, that they need to be good homekeepers. They have to be housekeepers. And what does that mean? That they have a specific role. A friend of mine, who I was talking to yesterday, told me that when she was young, she along with her mother used to go to these bookshops on the Mall Road. I don't know, you might have seen them. They used to have Russian books at that time, the 1970s. And in those books, there used to be image of women dressed as pilots, as ambulance drivers, as laborers, as farmers. And my friend was very bewildered, because the image that she had was a very different image of women. So I feel the narratives need to change. The stories we tell need to change. We need to break from the past. We need to rewrite the stories. Now let me come back to another Bilqis. Not Bilqis, my grandmother, but Bilqis Idi. Now, as you all know, she was the wife of Abdul Sattar Idi. She helped build the biggest humanitarian network in the world. She was his wife, his support, and his backbone. And yet, when we talk about the Idi Foundation, what is the name that comes to your mind? It's about Abdul Sattar Idi. So, we again need to build this narrative again. I look at science, and science and nature tells us of a totally different story. Look at the trees around you in the college. Every tree planted in the same soil, getting the same sunlight, grows differently. It has a destiny to follow. It has a pattern and a desire to grow the way it wants to. Some would be shorter, some would be smaller, some would give flowers, and some would give fruit. We can't ask a tree that gives flowers to give fruits. That is not what nature intended them to be. So each one of you need to look inside you. What do you want to be? And here's the good thing. Science also teaches us about neuroplasticity. And what is that? Neuroplasticity is that the brain can rewire. We can rewrite the stories. We can change. Now, let me come back to my grandmother, Bilqis, again. Bilqis had no parents. She had no formal education. She grew up in a world that did not want her. Yet, she became. So today, when I look at my own daughter, And that goes on to all of you, that you are the holder of a very precious DNA. It carries strength, it carries resilience, and the ability to want. You carry a legacy of defied erasure. And women need to know what they want. And now I will ask you one question that not a lot of women ask themselves. What is it that you truly want? What is it that really lights up your heart from inside? What is it that inspires you? And I feel that if you do not answer this question yourself, someone else will answer it for you. Imagine a world in which each one of young women, even those that are sitting here, know what they want. Because one woman can change the destiny of others. And imagine if millions of women know what they want. So I ask you for the last time, what do you want? Not what is expected of you, not what is easy, but what really lights you from inside. So now go, be more, want more, and take what is yours. Thank you very much.